Now, 'tis Thursday afternoon, 'tis time to get up for arts. And I'm joined once again by Alison McIntyre, who is from the Art Doctors. I've been sorting out my bits and pieces. I have a huge piece of paper in front of me and a right big pen. So let's say hello. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Gayle. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. How's life for the Art Doctors? What's going on with you guys at the moment? What's in the offing?
What's in the offing?
Yeah.
We're actually, we made them a little while ago, but we made some films with the Art Gallery in Leeds.
Oh, yeah.
We've made, I think, 11 of them in total with some of the community groups who are connected to the Art Gallery and Arts and Minds Network as well, which is about arts and mental health and well-being. And we're releasing one of them every Tuesday at just after 12 o'clock. And they're all about kind of fun things that you can do in art galleries that we're sort of aiming to sort of break down barriers really for people who might not feel like galleries are for them or might not feel an ownership. So we've got things like, how does it feel to wear slippers in a gallery? Feel more at home? Do you feel less like you're visiting and more like you belong there? And we've got one called Show Your Own Work as well. So you might just take something out of your pockets, put it in the gallery, take a picture, and now you're an artist.
Oh.
So they're quite fun, silly things. But yeah, they're out on our social media and the Art Gallery's social media every Tuesday about 12 o'clock.
That's great. I mean, and that is the kind of thing that you do. You're trying to make art and art galleries feel more accessible. So a lot of the time you'll be sort of stood outside galleries in your white coats and you'll be prescribing little bits of creativity for people. That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think what we're going to do today is very much around that idea of creativity. And we have lots of conversations with people about creativity, and lots of people feel that they're not creative at all. And usually if you ask people about what they might do in their lives that are creative, they immediately say, well, I can't draw.
Yeah.
And there's a fear of it that I think you mentioned before. And actually creativity is about all sorts of other things. It's not just about drawing, and it's about gardening or cooking or just looking at things when you're out on a walk, and can be creative activities. But I thought we'd do some drawing just to sort of, because that's come up a lot for us recently in our conversations with people about not being able to draw.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd do a bit today.
Okay. Well, I've got
non-scary drawing.
Non-scary drawing, brilliant. Well, I have a. It's not a huge piece of paper. It's an A3 piece of paper in front of me. I've got a big felt tip. Would you rather I used a biro, or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter, and the size of the paper doesn't matter if anyone is doing it at home. I don't like A4 paper because it makes me feel like I'm at school. So I find that that I'm about to put something into a printer. So that's my thing. I like square pieces of paper or just different shapes and sizes. But
well, years ago, I remember if ever my mum or dad had been like wallpapering, and if they had some wallpaper left, if I was allowed to draw on the back of it, I just thought it was the most incredible thing, that you could have this huge piece of paper just to do what you like with. So, I mean, if
it opens up your mind, doesn't it?
Yes.
Fancy paper. You go, well, I can go anywhere on this. What shall I do?
Exactly. Now, brilliantly, Alison, you can see me.
I can see you.
You can see my bit of paper. Nobody listening to this can see me, which seems a bit ridiculous, but it's fun. We always have a bit of fun, and if people want to join in, they very much can. So, what do we need to do? How shall we begin?
So what this exercise is called taking a line for a walk. So what we're going to do is I'm going to describe a walk to you. So I'm probably not going to look too much at what you're doing, but I've got a walk with certain things in it that I'm going to describe to you. And I'm going to go quite slowly, so you'll have time to use your line to kind of describe those things with your line, draw those things with your line. You can't take your pen off the paper.
Right.
So your pen is going for the walk with its line. You don't really need to think about it too much. It's just whatever shapes kind of come into your mind a little bit, like just sort of let it go and let it be and let things come into your mind rather than go, it's got to look exactly like this thing that's being described.
And it does make sense, but I'm concerned as to, on this piece of paper, where should my line begin? Do I go in the middle? Do I go at the bottom? Where would you start?
wherever you like, wherever feels right. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a bit.
You can fill this whole piece of paper, and you can go over the top of yourself as well.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if you run out of space. Just keep going, and the story and the journey can just kind of go on top of itself. And this is something we often use as like a warm-up exercise, but it does actually create something beautiful. And it's kind of that thing of drawing, but actually drawing is just making a mark. So we're just going to make a mark, and we're not going to think too much about drawing. We're going to think about the story and the shapes that come into your mind as I describe this story.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start. I've decided already. Me personally, I'm going to start at the bottom right-hand corner. So whenever you're ready, take me on a journey, Alison.
So I'm going to go quite slowly, but don't think about it too much and just keep going. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go out of your front door first.
Okay.
Close the front door behind us. And then we're going to go down some steps.
Oh.
We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And then we're going to turn onto the pavement and start walking. So we're going to carry on. It's been quite wet, and there's some leaves on the ground, some leaves that have got quite sort of smushed up and walked on. And in amongst those leaves, there's a few slugs as well, because it's wet.
No. Not beasts again.
The slugs have come out.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to avoid the slugs, and we're going to carry on walking along this pavement for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then we come to the end of that road, and there's a pedestrian crossing that we're going to go across. And the pedestrian crossing has got black and white lines, and it's also got a Belisha beacon at either end of it.
Can you hear my pen squeak?
Yeah. So we're walking across that pedestrian crossing, having a look at the Belisha beacons, and then we're going to turn again, and we're going down a footpath now.
Okay.
And that footpath has got a hedge on one side.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, this is my hedge. Can you hear that?
Squeaky hedge. Excellent. It's got some squeaky birds in it.
I've got a couple of hedges.
We're going to carry on for a little while longer. That hedge is carrying on with us. And then it's turned into a fence.
Uh-oh. Right.
And now we're walking along with a fence next to us.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I have a little fence.
We're now entering into some woods at the end of this footpath, and we're going to stop for a moment here and just look up at the leaves above us. A canopy of leaves above us, and bark and trunks in front of us.
Yeah.
And then when we've had enough of looking at the bark and the tree canopy of leaves above us, we're going to start walking again. And it's been raining a lot, and it's really muddy underfoot. And so you're squelching and slipping and sliding around in the mud. Mm-hmm. And you're enjoying that. It's fun. The slipping and the sliding's fun. And then as you walk through the woods, there's a stream that you are now walking next to. And the stream is quite a narrow little babbling stream. And walking along there for a bit, and then you can see that the stream's about to open up into a lake.
Oh, there we go.
As you get to the lake, there's a bench.
All right, okay. Little bench.
Have a little sit down on the bench.
Oh, okay.
And we're coming to the end of our walk now.
Oh.
So on the bench, you're just going to sit there. You're going to contemplate the lake. It's beautiful and still. And the sun's coming up. It was an early morning walk. The sun's coming up. And you're going to just watch the stillness of the lake and watch the sun coming up above the lake.
Okay. And I still haven't taken my pen off, even though I've really felt like it.
Yeah, I bet.
Right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you see what I've done?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it really is.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it because I was doing the walk. I didn't leave myself enough space to do all my steps at the start, but still, my little sort of pedestrian crossing with the Belisha beacons actually has turned out to look a little bit like a giraffe for some reason. I don't really know what's happened there. But as you can see, I have a bushy area. I have a little fence. I have a very dramatic tree. Because
that's great.
Because you know when you can't take your hand off the paper, you just have to go with it. But right at the end, you know where you said that you'd sit on the bench and have a look at the sun. Right at the end there, you can see I've managed to draw a little stick person overlooking the lake, and the sun is in the top corner. Look at that. Yeah. Hey.
And what I love about it and this exercise is that we get so hung up often on drawing having to look like a certain thing, having to be something at the end. And what I love about that is this: if you didn't know what that journey was and you just looked at the whole thing, it's just a really interesting collection of shapes and patterns, and it's a lovely thing.
It is, and I've enjoyed that. It felt very, when people talk a lot about mindfulness, it felt very mindful. I was extremely in the moment. I wasn't anywhere else other than listening to your voice, which was very calming. And I was mentally on that journey as well. I love that. I love that. The stuff you do is so incredibly varied. But I guess that's the wonder of creativity. That's the wonder of art, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think although what we kind of do in terms of activities is really varied, we're always sort of trying to think about that space where creativity is. And we're often doing that thing of not trying to think about what that end product is, trying to stop people focusing on art and creativity having to be about this wonderful thing that's art at the end of it, that actually being in the process. I suppose that's like mindfulness as well, like you say, being in the moment and just going, okay, what am I going to do here and where's it going to take me? And I'm not going to work that out in advance is kind of what we're always trying to think about.
It was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed that, genuinely. Yesterday on the show, Alison, we were actually talking a little bit about art, and I was inspired by, I don't know if you saw this news story, but it was a museum in Denmark that had given an artist something like $84,000 or the equivalent of whatever that is. And I don't know what the brief was, but in the end, the artist returned with 2 blank canvases, and they called it "Take the Money and Run."
Excellent.
I mean, is that art? Who are we to say?
If somebody's paid for it and they didn't give a brief that involved not doing that, then yes, it's art. It's art with a sense of humour, isn't it?
It certainly made me chuckle, as do you, as ever. If people want any more information about what you do and where you are and where all your videos are and all that, what's the best thing to do?
Yes, so all of our films and videos are on YouTube. If you search Art Doctors is probably the best thing. There's a playlist on there for the toolkit for gallery visits films that I mentioned earlier. On social media, we're art_doctors on Twitter and Instagram, and again, Facebook, search for Art Doctors and you'll find us there. And we also have a website, artdoctors.org.uk, if you want to go and find more information about everything we do.
Perfect. As ever, a great joy. Thank you so much for your time, Alison McIntyre, who is an art doctor. Thank you very much, Alison. You take care.
Thanks, Gayle. Bye.
Weekend Breakfast with Andrew Edwards.
It's certainly not looking like it used to be. People are still connecting over coffee or at a distance or over texted Zooms. For most people, it's great to connect in real person.
And look at you see, you and I could be having this chat and you're probably sitting there in your boxer shorts for all anyone listening to your nose, and in the past you'd have had to be smart and spruce and comb your hair sitting opposite me in the studio, Warren.
I better turn off my camera.
Weekend Breakfast
with Andrew Edwards.
What an image that is. I'm going to get that out of my mind.
I'm not in my boxer shorts, honest. No, I did quickly put a pair of joggers and a jumper on.
Andrew Edwards.
Weekends from 6.
BBC Radio Leeds.
Oh my goodness, it nearly is the weekend. That does mean that the wonderful Andrew Edwards returns Saturday and Sunday morning, nice and bright and early from 6 o'clock. Quick hello to Linda. Linda's just been on. Yes, sorry about that, Linda. She was listening to us doing a little bit of art there, and as you can tell, the pen... It's a bit squeaky, but you do say, OMG, that squeaky pen. Cringe!